Hey guys, I hope you're doing alright. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking with you about compression and packing cubes. The goal of this video is to actually not only discuss the similarities and differences between the two, but to also give my personal review of each of the packing cubes and to give you some recommendations as to which one might be the best fit for you. So when I came out with my blog post on compression versus packing cubes, some people didn't even know that compression cubes existed or that there's a difference between the two. So I'm going to show you the packing cubes that I have. These are the packing cubes that I have. This one is from Osprey and this one is from Eagle Creek. And then this is a compression cube. This one is from Tripoli. The little family-owned store isn't on Amazon anymore, but you can definitely find the similar types on Amazon as well. As you can see, there is two zippers. One actually closes the cube and the other one is meant for compression, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So essentially a packing cube, whether you're using a compression cube or a packing cube, is essentially a lightweight material that is a cube and is basically meant to organize the items that you're traveling with and ensure that you get the maximum amount of space possible in your luggage. Whether you're using a suitcase or a backpack, whatever it may be, it's so important to use these types of cubes so that way you can organize your things, but you can also have a lot of extra space in the bag for other things, for not only your other items like toiletries, but also just for souvenirs and things like that if you're like me and you like to buy extra things when you travel. Now, you can definitely stuff almost anything into these cubes. However, I think more often than not people do use these for clothing. This is what I do. I generally put my clothing, like my tops, bottoms, bras, underwear, socks, bathing suits, things like that in here. However, you know, if you want to put some like first aid things in here, you know, camera equipment, cables, things like that in here, you can as well. The choice is up to you. So for packing cubes, whether you use these light thin ones from Osprey and Eagle Creek, or if you get packing cubes that kind of look similar like this, either way, packing cubes more often than not will come with one zipper. So this one is from Osprey. It just has one zipper, opens up like that. You put your things in there just like that. And like I said, it depends on the material, depends on your traveling needs, where you're going, what you're doing, will determine the type of packing cube that you get. There are ones that have thicker materials. There are others like these ones that are very flimsy and very thin, but they're actually quite durable. At the end of the day, as long as they're durable and can hold your clothing and other items in there, then it's okay. Compression cubes, there is a 2-zipper system. So with this one, I'm going to unzipper it so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So I have unzippered it. This part, the top part, you actually put your clothes in there. And when you put your clothes in there, if you look at the side, you see how small it is? When the clothes are in there, it puffs out like that. So look at how much room you have to put things in there. This is actually a medium-sized cube, compression cube. I have a large as well. The pack came with 2 medium cubes and a large compression cube. This is the depth you're going to get with a compression cube. I would say on average this is about what they look like. You put your clothes in there, okay? You close it, you zipper the top up, but then you still have this extra room. If you're using a backpack and whatnot, you know that space is very precious. You don't want something this thick in your backpack. So this is where the compression part, the second zipper system, comes in. So you basically use the second system the second zipper to compress it, and you see how it's making the compression cube smaller. That is essentially the function of a compression cube. It compresses or squeezes the cube to the smallest shape it could possibly be. This works very well. I've used it quite a few times before. I actually got packing cubes like this, but that's basically the main difference between the two. If you stuff things in there, it's going to bulk out and it's going to stay like that. However, if you have a compression cube, you can try to compress the size of the cube to, you know, as small as thin it could possibly be, so that way you have a lot more room in your bag. So now we're going to talk about some of the similarities and differences between the two. Essentially speaking, both types of cubes are very lightweight but durable packing cubes that's used to basically organize your items and ensure that you get a lot of space in your luggage. And it doesn't really matter as long as you're using a packing cube, in my opinion, whichever one it may be. You're traveling smarter and not harder, in my opinion. The only difference is that this one is meant to compress or squeeze the cube down to a very small size, whereas other packing cubes, whether it's something like this or a packing cube that kind of looks like this, it's just going to stay bulky like that, but you're still going to get extra room in your luggage as opposed to if you didn't use something like this. Now I'm going to talk about my experience using these packing cubes. So I'll start with the compression cube because this is the one that I've had for the longest time. I believe I got this back in like 2019 and I used it a few times during that year. I remember I used it on my trip to Florida. I used it when I would go back home and like visit my family in New York and things like that. And overall, I really like it. I like the material, I like the durability, but it's also kind of like a little flexible. Not as flexible as the other packing cubes, but I like the fact that it was very durable and it could kind of squeeze its size down to as small as it could possibly be. And relatively speaking, these aren't really that big or bulky. This can easily like fit in your closet or under your bed or wherever it is that you store packing cubes in. And overall, I really like it. I was very impressed with the quality of this compression cube, and I also liked how it came from a small family-owned business, and I was supporting a little travel family-sized business. Now, I don't really use this packing cube as often anymore, ever since I got the other packing cubes, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but this is the one that I've had for the longest. So now I am going to move on to my packing cubes now. So the first packing cube that I got was this one from Eagle Creek. I got it off of Amazon, and then the second one I got was Osprey. I think I got this one about a month or two after I got this one. I got this one back in November of 2020. I think I got this one in December of 2020, possibly, or maybe earlier this year. I don't quite remember. So these are the newest packing cubes to my edition. In each pack it came with a small, medium, and large. These are mediums. I have a large and a small one, as mentioned before. And these are different packing cubes than the ones that you will normally find on Amazon. The packing cubes that you normally see on Amazon look like this, but they're not compression cubes, they're just packing cubes. And I was looking for something different because I already have like a compression cube that's like this, and I didn't want like a packing cube that was similar to this. I wanted something different. I wanted to try it out. And after watching Backpacking Bananas, Christiane traveling, and using these types of packing cubes, I figured I would give them a shot. I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning because they're so like thin and very flimsy. I questioned how durable they would be when I was traveling. They're very flexible, like you can literally like crumple them up and it's just a small little thing like that. but I'm figuring like if this is really stuffed with clothes, like is it gonna rip or something? I have used these so many times and they are amazing. I will link these down below as well, but I just find myself gravitating more towards these cubes when I travel as opposed to my compression cube now. Like, I have fit my tops in here, my leggings, swimwear now, undies, socks, bras, like everything in here, and they've held up so well. I am so pleased with the quality of these little packing cubes. As long as you're not overstuffing them, they shouldn't tear or break or anything like that. So, good investment of my money. As I said a little bit ago, I gravitate more towards the packing cube now, and the reason being is because when I was using my compression cube, I found that it did do a good job of not only compressing the cube and giving me more space in my luggage. However, the thing of it is that it's not very flexible when it's compressed, like whatever the shape of it is when the clothes are in there. When it's compressed, that's pretty much the shape it's going to stay in, and you can't really do much to really move it around or to make it more flexible. So if it's kind of like bulky and bulging at the top, there's really not much else I can do after it's compressed. I have to make sure that it's kind of in shape and good before I close the cube and before I compress it. I just found that to be a bit of a hassle because when you pack other things into your luggage, it can't really conform and contort to the shape and the remaining space in the bag, if you kind of get what I'm saying. Whereas these packing cubes, even though they're very thin, they're very, very flexible. So even when clothes are stuffed in here, like to the brim, because of the lightweight material this is, I can easily compress it myself and form it and mold it so that way if there's like clothing and it's like looking like a bulk like that, I can compress it and squeeze on it so that way it's a little bit flatter, so that way I can allow myself to have more room in my bag. But if I needed to put anything on top of there, I know I could press that item on top and the cube itself will conform to the shape of or the object of whatever it is that's on top of it, and ensure that, you know, that space is there and is being utilized correctly. If you get what I'm saying, like if you watched my what's in my backpack for New Orleans video, you kind of see what I mean. Like after you compress the cube with the clothes in there, even though it's meant to be as small as possible, it's just big and bulky after you've compressed it. And with these, you know, even when there are a lot of things in it, because it's so flexible, you can easily shape it and mold it into the shape and size that you want it to be. I found this to be such a very useful and time-saving thing, because when I put these cubes in my Eagle Creek backpack, I found that sometimes I was just putting other objects in on the side where I normally put my packing cubes in there, but because of the material, like the flexibility of it, I was able to stuff multiple things on top of it, squeeze it down, but it all fit in my backpack. I felt like if I would have used this compression bag, I wouldn't have been able to stuff anything else on top of that, because the packing cube would have been kind of bulky, and whatever the shape of it was on top, I wouldn't be able to kind of mesh that out after it was compressed. Those are just my thoughts on these little packing cubes. Overall, I really do like them. I like the both of them. However, I just find myself using these more and more often than I do the compression cube, but I still have these, you know, just in case, and I'll talk about why in a little bit. Okay, now that we've talked about the difference between a packing cube and a compression cube, the similarities and differences, my thoughts and review on these, well, how do you know which one is right for you? You know, so I'm going to kind of walk you through that and help you to see for yourself which one is right for you. So, based off of my experience using these different types of packing cubes thus far, if you are the type of traveler that likes to travel to more hot or warmer climates, or if you just like to go to the beach a lot, or basically if you just have clothing like this that's more like camis and just like tank tops that really don't take up much room at all, I would recommend you using these packing cubes, specifically these packing cubes. This isn't a sponsored video or anything like that. Eagle Creek and Osprey don't know who the hell I am, nor do they really care. I just really like their products, honestly. And these specific types of packing cubes, you can really stuff a whole lot of light to medium sized and thick clothing in here without having them break. So if you're going down south to Florida a lot, or to Thailand, or to any of these places that's just very warm, and you know you're not going to really pack any clothing that's like really big or bulky or long, I highly recommend these types of packing cubes. However, if you are the type of traveler that loves to be in colder climates, you love going to the mountains, you love skiing, you love snowboarding, you love doing all these winter type sports and activities, and with that you really need longer, thicker clothing, thicker material to hold up and withstand the cold and that type of harsh climate, I would recommend you using these compression cubes. These compression cubes are still good if you want to use like light or medium thickness clothing. However, because of the design of this, it will really hold up and withstand having thicker clothing in them. So for those thermals, long sleeve shirts, sweaters, hoodies, you know, really thick type of pants, yoga pants, sweatpants, having a compression cube and using this is really going to come in handy. You can use these packing cubes for thicker clothing. However, with these type of clothing, I feel like if you were to stuff thick, bulky pieces of clothing in this, it may potentially break. If you don't stuff them too much, you may be fine. However, I'm just thinking about my thick sweatpants and things like that, and I would question how well these would hold up to them. However, if you still want to use a packing cube for thicker clothing, then I wouldn't recommend these two in specific. I would recommend going on to Amazon and finding a packing cube that's similar to this in material, so that way you know it's going to be much more durable. It's going to hold up to having thicker and bulkier items. But at the end of the day, you do you, to each his own. You know, some people would just prefer having this type of packing cube or compression cube. Some others would just prefer to have this, kind of like Chrissy Ann from Backpacking Bananas, and just kind of pack with these, which I think I would find myself doing unless I go to like the mountains or someplace that's a little colder. Then I would have to use at least one packing cube for my bottoms and tops that are just bulkier, that aren't really going to fit well in here. If you would like to read everything that I discussed about in this video, I will leave a link to it down below. I am a travel blogger as well, so I do have a blog that shares my tips, tricks, shared experience with you guys. So if you didn't catch it on YouTube and you want to physically read and see what I'm talking about and see the links that I use, you can go onto my blog as well. I would really appreciate it if you also did that as well. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Again, as usual, please leave a like, comment down below, hit the bell to receive notifications. Please subscribe to my channel if you like it, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!